You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
So let's start the conversation this hour as we reflect once again on what President Cyril Ramaphosa said yesterday, but broadly on what the ANC is trying to do with this roll call kind of a service delivery imbizo that's been taking place at Nasrec. We joined on the line by Mzwandile Masina, who is an ANC NEC member, but also a member of the local government intervention team, joining us on the line. Mzwandile, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Morning. How are you, Clement?
I'm all right. I want to start off first with what the ANC's position is. I don't know if the remarks the president made yesterday have been discussed yet. From what I have picked up, there are a few or several ANC leaders or ANC members that are unhappy about the statement that he made as he was praising the DA and saying the councillors must learn from the DA with their best run municipalities. Has that been decided whether it's a fair statement the president made, or are there concerns within the organization that this may decampaign the party?
No, look, I think the starting point for me is not whether or not what the president said is an ANC view. I think the president made that particular pronouncement. We all heard him last night. So what is important for us is to actually put things into context so that we can understand and appreciate maybe the essence of the comment. Because I don't think that the president entirely was saying that everything else that is run by the ANC has collapsed, and therefore we must learn everything from the DA. All what he was saying basically is that there would have been some areas that would need some level of attention. Just to give you an example, if I was to give an example that we take like the three metros in Gauteng as an example, which if we use Ekurhuleni as one of the examples, and then I'll go to Joburg and Tshwane just to give you this, is that when we left in 2021 after the ANC was voted out, the DA together with the EFF, they came in there, and then subsequent to that, the regression on revenue collection plunged the city into financial difficulties, which we are experiencing today. And secondly, we lost the clean audit. We had 3 back-to-back clean audits at the time. We lost it during the time when we have not received it back. And almost 75% of the budget was then redirected to go to minorities. If you go into townships like Tembisa, Katlong, and so on, you could get a sense that there was no service delivered at all there because the ANC was removed from power. And fundamentally, there was a tampering with social packages that were put together for our people. For instance, things like ensuring that we can cover the indigent, ensure that we increase the access of water and electricity beyond that the norm that was provided for, and all those things. And generally, the erratic electricity confusion that went on, which resulted in a loss of over 2 billion rand under the eyes of the DA. One can say the same with what happened in Tshwane and Johannesburg. If you go to Johannesburg, you even find shacks that are right in the middle of the CBD next to the N2 during that time. And the manifestation of informal settlement throughout the city. So there is literally, in my view, very little the ANC can learn from the DA. Probably the DA can learn a lot from the African National Congress. All what the president was trying to say is that, or Tambo would say that, sometimes you learn even from your enemies if there is something right they're doing.
But Mzwandile, wait, are you saying that there's very little? I mean, the president of the organization yesterday just told you that we need to learn from the DA because they've got the best run municipalities, which is factual. You are saying there's little to learn from the Democratic Alliance, despite evidence that is there that shows that their municipalities are best run compared to the ANC's municipalities.
Take Cape Town, because it's normally used as the best run, or Midvaart, and whatever municipality that can come to mind, which we can share. And then you tell me what is best in the affluent areas and what is best in the communities where we come from. Then we can have a conversation about whether or not there is so much to learn. I don't want you to pin us into a debate because the president was saying it in context, and you have to listen to the entire speech on the 6 priorities that he was saying, emphasizing what the ANC need to tip in. And then he just made this one statement about learning. And I don't think that we must then be punished or to be held accountable as the only statement that the president said, because the president said a number of progressive things that the ANC must focus on, because this meeting of yesterday was about sharpening ourselves and ensuring that we can prepare for local government. So I don't think that we must read it out of context and be excited as we've seen with the Democratic Alliance. They've put up in their website saying that he says they've got the best. They know, as a matter of fact, they don't have the best more than what we can provide.
But Mzwandile, I got a call from what's that guy from Guguletu? I got who? Lubabalo. I got a call from Lubabalo, someone who lives in Guguletu, in one of the townships outside Cape Town, who says, hey, we have actually seen that the work that the Democratic Alliance does here. Yes, Western Cape's municipalities have generally better governance, higher performance on audits, more reliable basic service delivery metrics, which helps cushion the townships. And the Lubabalo who lives in Guguletu says, I can speak as someone who lives here in Guguletu, that I've seen that even the projects that the DA does, they get completed. He has lived in Johannesburg before. The difference is quite different. The experience there is quite different. So I don't know if, because we can have a conversation about the politics of what the president has said.
That's very subjective, because, there are a lot of communities. If you go to Deb, you go to Langa and so on, you will not have such an experience. Actually, Clement, you are well-traveled in South Africa. If you come to Cape Town, just disabuse yourself. Don't go to affluent areas. Just go to the township to see the state of affairs. Then you'll have a sense that there is nothing called a best-run city of Cape Town. Yes, of course, in terms of clean audit, one must acknowledge, but they are not the only metro. Guruleni had almost 5 clean audits back to back, and then that has disappeared now. And I believe that under the current leadership of the ANC in some of these municipalities,
but that has disappeared. And also, the metric, what qualifies you to be the best-run metro, is not just clean audits. When you look at the different reports that get released, or even the Auditor General, it doesn't just end at clean audit. So the Metro of Cape Town has actually done more than just producing a clean audit, which is what has brought it to be the best run metro in South Africa.
What is that more in your view, so that we can then have a proper engagement? Because there are polls that get run by independent institutions, and they give feedback. There is SALGA, there is other independent audit processes that happen for you to arrive at that particular area. So I am saying to you, it is the Cape Town. There are some good things that you can take, which is what you can refer to what the president probably was saying. And secondly, there are some bad things that are happening in Cape Town.
Yeah, so just like in Gauteng. Are there no bad things in Gauteng? Don't you have informal settlements in Gauteng?
Many of the mess that is being faced in Gauteng, in Johannesburg in particular, and in Tshwane, is a mess that has been created by the Democratic Alliance.
Hey, but who's been in charge of these metros since 1994?
Who was in charge of these cities before 1994? Because this is a legacy of apartheid. So if you
so 30 years later, we're still talking about the legacy of apartheid.
Look, Clement, let's not be naive. Let's not look at this with the eyes of 1994. Let's look at the historic nature of these institutions, because they did not start in 1994. They were democratized in 1994, yes. But if we, for instance, take any other municipalities, the service provision was meant for only whites. And the ANC, I can give you statistics for different municipalities on how we have expanded these services.
Please give me that, because I disagree that the ANC has actually done a lot to try and prepare for instance, the issue of infrastructure. Even with ESCOM, hold on one second, even with ESCOM, a simple thing like ESCOM, when already during the Thabo Mbeki presidency, there was a report that said, we've got a population that's growing. We don't have an ESCOM that's going to be able to give electricity and distribute it to everyone. So we need to build infrastructure. What happened? No infrastructure was built. In the municipalities, I've done a series with the mayors of the different metros in this province, and they have said and conceded that we have not invested in infrastructure maintenance. That's why you've got issues with electricity. You've got issues with water shortages. Whose responsibility is that? It's you as the party that's been in charge of these metros for over 30 years. You can't blame the DA that's been in charge for how many years?
No, there is no blaming of the DA here. I'm just putting things into context. All what I'm saying to you is that, let me give you a practical example. For instance, in the Kuruleni, in all the towns, because remember there were about 11 municipalities, the small municipalities that were amalgamated into one. All of them combined for water. They had 29 reservoirs that were built by apartheid. In 5 years, the ANC built 29 reservoirs that you can go and touch. Others are being commissioned, others are being completed. So it's not true. So you mustn't use this thing of emphasizing that everything has been going west. The electricity network in those towns was refurbished so that there is even distribution of electricity in the main. The sewer system is being fixed. Of course, the democratic government has not had sufficient resources to be able to do all these things.
Hasn't had sufficient resources, and yet the corruption, the money that's been stolen over the last 30 years?
The backlog that has been faced by a democratic government is what you must acknowledge.
Wait, when you say they haven't had resources, what do you mean? You know how much money has been stolen by comrades in this government over the last 30 years?
Go and ask even the Democratic Alliance, because you seem to like them, whether or not the funding, structure of local government is sufficient for them. They will tell you that it is not.
No, I'm asking about what's been stolen. Have we not seen corruption under your party, the ANC, over the last 30 years, where millions and billions have literally been looted by comrades in state institutions and in local government? Haven't we seen that?
I'm sure you're certain that you know that where at least we know where there have been issues of corruption and wrongdoing, people have been brought before the law. So I would not stand here in the name of the ANC and defend wrongdoings. Where there have been wrongdoings, and we know law enforcement have acted. So and will continue to act, because nobody wants the state to be looted in the interest of individuals. Just yesterday, I'm sure me and you read the story of a chap who looted the hospital there. The SIU has taken almost assets worth about 3.7 billion. It was on the news yesterday. So you can't then want to emphasize on that point as if there are no corrective measures where they are wrongdoing. And by the way, so many of these people that are being accused of corruption are not necessarily members of the ANC. So these are people in society who are business people in the main, and some few who are in the administration who are doing wrong things.
Mzwandile.
No, don't laugh.
No, man, come on. This is ridiculous. These people are close to... Have you read stories about Bekikele and Ket Matlala? Have you read that? Have you read stories about the very same man you're talking about in Tembisa, and which politician was in his house meeting Ket Matlala?
Are they members of the ANC?
No, you said these people are normal people in society, and I'm saying that's naive to think that politicians are just going to steal directly. Of course, politicians, when they loot money, they're going to use their families and normal business people in society.
You can't expect the party to answer for individual misdemeanor. Those who are doing wrong, I am saying it on record because I'm sent here by the African National Congress. They must face the consequences. If you know any member who has gone there was doing wrong things with those people, they must face the law.
Okay. So are you telling me now that as the ANC you believe that you outperform the DA, and on what grounds are you basing that on? Because I'm telling you now about an independent report, the Good Governance Africa report. That index is important. They look at all the municipalities and they will tell you that 20 top performing municipalities are situated in the Western Cape. If you look at the Auditor General's report, it will paint a similar picture to you. So if you want to claim that the ANC outperforms the DA, on what grounds? What evidence do you have?
No, Clement, I'm saying to you, the problem is you are judging two wrong things, right? For instance, because this is a special issue, majority of the municipalities in the Western Cape, firstly, they have sources of revenue because of how they are located, right? Either in the farms, either in the main areas, even the rural areas, there's productive land and so on and so on. You cannot compare them with some of the municipalities in Limpopo or somewhere in KZN and so on and so on. So I'm saying that's the first thing, that those municipalities become self-sustainable because they've got revenue, a sense of revenue, where the revenue comes from. Until we correct the skewed allocation of resources at national and provincial level, we are not, even if we can give you and whoever who wants to criticize the ANC.
What about Mfuleni and Midvaal? Because they are next door neighbors. They've got the same resources.
Mfuleni is a very small municipality. That's why even if they claim a clean audit, for instance, I made this point when the former mayor Bongani was the mayor, that you're running a 100 million rand municipality and then we are running a 57 billion rand municipality. To account for those two things,
Mzwandile, you've got smaller municipalities you run as the African National Congress, and yet we still see corruption and lack of service delivery there.
Look, the reason why we have this committee of local government intervention is to intervene where there have been rampant corruption and wrongdoings, where it has been happening, where we've heard about the things that have been happening. And we are acting, including making some relevant changes. But all the point I'm making is that many of those, for instance, if you look at municipalities in the Free State, I will give you an example because I spent a lot of time in the Free State. Those municipalities are not self-sufficient. Coupled with that, even that which comes from national revenue is not sufficient to make sure that they can do basic things of local government. These are the failures that we must confront. So I am saying to you, two things that are critical for local government so that we can then measure apples with apples. Firstly, is that we must turn around on how municipalities are financed. Secondly, municipalities, all of them, must be held accountable about basic things like ensuring that the resources that you budget, because the National Treasury prescribed it, that for repairs and maintenance, we must make sure that people must not go ahead wanting to build new things when they don't have a sufficient resources to ensure that they can maintain, because that's a problem that is facing us now. The meeting of yesterday was about giving matching orders about those things. Say, colleagues, other than trying to impress, build new road there when there are potholes all over all the other roads, rather use those resources. So the law says 8 to 10% of your budget must be saved towards ensuring that you can maintain.
But that's not new, Zandi. That's not new. I hear what you say. That's noble. That's not new. And I've covered the different ministers of local government, Pravin Gordhan, Zweli Mkhize, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma at some point, Thembi Nkadimeng. I've looked at their vision and their plans. They've been saying the same thing over many years. What makes that different right now? Because you're saying it as if it's some nice, fresh idea that's going to revolutionize things.
Something that has to be done.
It hasn't been done, though.
Unless you do that, unless you do that, local government is always going to become a failure.
But it hasn't been done for over a decade. Different ministers.
You have been talking to those ministers. I'm sure you can tell us what has been the issue. But the point is, until we go back to those basics, local government is not going to work in South Africa. So we want to we're imploring them yesterday, the councillors, fellow councillors, don't rush to build new infrastructure. Let's maintain what we have. Let's make sure that it works so that we don't have sewers running all over the streets, potholes and street lights not working. Because if you start there, it then becomes easy for you to build a new infrastructure, but you also budget for that infrastructure in terms of how you are going to maintain it. So these are the things that are critical. That is why we want to have a template for local government, for the metros, for the district, for the local, so that the local government must look like Nando's or KFC, if you like, because currently everyone is doing different things, and as a result, we are unable as a party to ensure that there is uniformity in terms of how we approach these things. That's why we've identified what are the critical areas that we must focus on local government. Water is a major priority. Issues of electricity and all that goes with it. Issues of sewer and waste collection, as well as issues of economic development. Do
your councillors have capacity to actually do and carry out all these things?
Of course, our councillors do have capacity. That's why there is ongoing and continuous training of work.
So Salga says 62% of councillors had been unable to use basic computers to enable the passing of crucial municipal budget. The presidency indicated that only 53% of senior municipal managers meet the minimum competency level. The Auditor General has said that some of these guys don't even know how to read financial statements. Hence, they rely a lot on consultants. What capacity are you talking about?
So let's distinguish between the capacity of the ANC councillors and the capacity of the municipality, because those are two institutions. we have taken a decision to professionalize the local government. So, for instance, when I was a mayor, we had 11 CAs who managed the affairs of the municipality. There was not a single outsourcing that happened there. We had a water engineer managing water and electricity engineer managing electricity, and so because we had decided consciously to professionalize the space. So this is the message that the ANC is spreading across to say, let's not bring people who have no capacity, who can't read financials into the financial sector, engineers who have matric and so on and so on. We want people with capacity to be able to do this work. Okay. So in terms of our councillors, to answer you directly, we are saying that it's important that everyone must have basic skills, but the ANC is continuously ensuring that we are training the cadres that are deployed to ensure that they can do the work. But the first thing is to professionalize local government, make sure that we get people who are fit for purpose, who can do the job, and thirdly, make sure that those councillors who must actually do community work, they are also capacitated.
It's actually COCTA that trains the councillors. The minister has confirmed many times that they give them refresher courses.
Of course.
Yeah, but that's government, so it's not you as the ANC that's training them. You put up people there, some of who don't have capacity, and government must go retrain them. And it's not just you, it's other political parties too.
No, but you see now you are not fair. You accuse the ANC. We've never been running municipalities without other parties. There's always been other parties. But you say we are.
No, that's not true. Since after democracy, you've been running municipalities with other parties.
But Clement, you also must give me a chance to talk. Otherwise, now you are talking alone. And I thought
go ahead.
We must give you facts from what we know, and we can debate the facts, and we don't have to be emotional about it. So I'm saying to you, where you are putting a blame, you say you guys have been running things, we accept. And I'm saying, now you can't then, when I say to you, the ANC-led government is actually giving these people capacity so that they can discharge their services. You say, no, it's not you and not you alone. It's an unfair...
But how have you done it? That's what I'm trying to clarify, because my understanding is it's COCTA that gives the refresher courses. But
Clement, I'm saying to you, COCTA has been run by the ANC. You counted 4 or 5 ministers of the ANC, starting with Pravin Gordhan, right? So when it's convenient for you, those are not ANC people. So we cannot tell you that there is training, and that indeed COCTA is the one that trains and SALGA that trains local government people. And majority of those people in the structures there are employees of the African National Congress. So I'm saying to you, I am confirming, which is what you are raising, that there is ongoing training for these councillors.
Yeah, but I think you're missing the point. The point is, I don't think government should be spending money training councillors. I think you as the ANC, the DA, IFP, make sure that you put councillors that have capacity. If they don't have, use your own resources as political parties to train them. Why am I, as a taxpayer, my money must be used to go and train somebody that's been put in a position by a political party that can see that that person just doesn't have the skills?
So, Clement, you want to tell me that 702 have never taken you to any refresher course when?
No. Well, if they take me to a refresher course, one thing I'll tell you is they'll never put me behind this mic when they don't know I don't have the skills to do it. That's the most basic thing. And that's the point I'm making with political parties. The most basic things that councillors might understand.
Do you know what is the basic skill of a councillor?
What is it?
I'm asking you.
No, tell me. I'm asking, what is it? I don't know.
No.
Tell me.
Give me a metaphor of a mic. So what do you think? You think a councillor must say someone who must open a computer, is someone who must go and collect issues of the people and ensure that they are reported and resolved?
Those issues must be reported, but if it's a councillor that's going to sit in a committee and chair a committee that holds the finance MMC or finance MEC accountable, they must at least understand even financial statements or how to read them. Otherwise, how do you even understand budget's allocation?
That's why there are those refresher. For instance, when I was a mayor, I'm just to give you an example. I didn't study anything on health, about clinics, but because there was ongoing training, you get to be taught about those things so that you are conscious and you are aware. When you make a decision, your decision must be in constant with the policy, but it must be in constant with the law. So you can't tell me that the institution of government that we preside over has no responsibility to give ongoing training. It's an unfair question on your side.
All right. Mzwandile Masina, thank you so much. I appreciate you making time for us. I'm so out of time. I'm so sorry for being late for the news. Mzwandile Masina is the ANC NEC member of the local government subcommittee in the organization. Give me a call, Send us a WhatsApp voice note if you want to react to what he's had to say.
With Clement Manyathela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
22 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's get your reaction.
I'm from Johannesburg and I moved to Cape Town last year. And the differences in municipality experiences are worlds apart. It is such a pleasure to be able to drive anywhere and not have to worry about potholes. I can catch the bus, I can catch the train. It's clean and safe and reliable. I don't have as many power outages and water outages. And it reminds me of what Aubrey Masongu said on his show once, which is that as South Africans, we've got to learn how to own things. And that means that if we're constantly stealing or mismanaging money that is meant to go to upliftment projects, development, maintenance, if the money is constantly being mismanaged, then we're never going to have the quality of public services that we are supposed to have. And while the DA is not perfect, they certainly are getting their projects rolled out more successfully than anywhere else in the country because the money is actually being used for public good.
Hey, Clement and your team. Sure, I have no words for your guest. All I can say is that the president indirectly admitted that ANC has failed in the municipality space and that we should be learning from what the DA is doing in the Western Cape. That says a lot. So whatever they are coming up with, all these excuses that we've heard for more than 30 years, it's purely that. Excuses, excuses, excuses. So let's just vote DA. Thank you.
Clement, this is our lived reality. We speak on things that affects us and our loved ones and our communities. No matter what the ANC is saying, for me, whoever does the work properly, that it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be done, that is important. And we are speaking of what we live through. The ANC, unfortunately, is a talk shop. There is no will. They always turn it on the communities, and that is what I see day to day. And only when things goes, pear-shaped, then they want to take action. They don't take care of the little things that is important. There is no care, and that is what we see in our day-to-day lives.
It's 19 minutes now before 11 o'clock. After the break, I'm going to bring in Mbhazima Shilowa and Dr. Levy Ndou, who both are political analysts. They must try help us make sense of it all.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
All right, 15 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Mbhazima Shilowa is a political commentator. Dr. Levy Ndou as well. They're joining us now on the line. Thank you, Mr. Shilowa. Thank you, Dr. Ndou, for making time for us. Good morning.
Thanks, Mr. Manyathela. Good morning to you too.
I don't know where to begin, so let me start with you, Mr. Shilowa. The ANC now seems to be on a campaign drive to spin what the president said yesterday. I don't know what you heard. If you heard what Mzwandile Masina said, he seems to say the president didn't really mean that the DA has the best metros. In fact, he says the DA has a lot to learn from the ANC and not the other way around. What do you make of that? Are they facing a PR crisis now?
No, I don't think so. The late Kadakas Asmal spoke about the tyranny of the soundbite. Mm-hmm. And we seem to be in the age of the X or social media the same way there. There were a lot of things that were said yesterday by the president, but we seem to have only just picked what he said on the report of the AG. So I'm happy to speak on that. Mm-hmm. I understood him to have said, one, the AG report is as it is, and it pains him every time it is presented that it says some of the most performing municipalities are DA-run municipalities, and spoke about the need to be able to benchmark in terms of those. And I think there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not even sure why the ANC would want to tie itself in knots. Benchmarking happens all the time. A few weeks ago, MEC Levy Ndou was in a meeting with the Western Cape counterparts, saying we're meeting because we want to be able to benchmark about each other. I think the problem for the ANC is that some of us, in creating the outrage, we have also added something that the president never said, that he had said the DA governs better, when he didn't say so. But I think the president is right. It is high time that the ANC takes seriously what is in the AG report, do something about it. If not, as he says, it is survival. Their survival is not guaranteed, and there is nothing wrong learning from others. I did it when I was there. I think even now, many MECs meet across provinces. I'm not sure why suddenly this thing becomes a big issue. Even for some of us who have been commenting, there are some who have been saying, no, he's put the ANC campaign under the bus. What is wrong with what he has said is something nobody has been able to tell me. So,
he did say that most of the municipalities, the municipalities that are best run are run by the Democratic Alliance.
Yes. No, he didn't. He said, Clement, I don't have to argue for him. I'm telling you what I heard. He said, this is what the AG says, and it pains him. And that's correct. That's what the AG have said.
Yeah, okay.
And so I don't think that's simply... I think we're confusing two things. The AG report is about use appropriately of resources and so forth. There are things that the AG report never looks at. That is the issue of the levels of poverty in each of the municipalities, the level of whether there are new roads being built, new houses, sewage being collected, and all of those. All of those things can be looked at, and you will find in some municipalities run by the DA, even where they get a proper audit, a clean audit, those other issues would not be there. You will find there will be municipalities that are coming out very badly in terms of accounting for resources.
Yeah.
But you find that they are also they can show that we've been able to build so many things.
Yeah, and of course the AG report is not the only one you can use as a benchmark. I've mentioned a number of reports on the show this morning already, even independent reports like the Good Governance Africa report that doesn't just look at the issue of finances. In fact, let's hear directly from what the president said here when he was addressing this conference yesterday, and then I'm going to go to Dr. Ndou.
Those municipalities that do best are not ANC-controlled municipalities. And I can name it here because there's nothing wrong with competition. They are often DA-controlled municipalities. We need to ask ourselves, what is it that they are doing that is better than what we are doing?
Yeah.
And
so that's what the president said here. It was very clear about what he thinks are the municipalities. And of course, he responded to what the Auditor General has said to back up the statement he makes. Dr. Ndou, what do you make of the anger that's now coming from the African National Congress? Because there are some of them have already tweeted, some have been calling journalists and just complaining about their president, that he is basically decampaigning the African National Congress. I mean, the president didn't lie. The question they're asking is this a statement you make? Is it politically smart a few months ahead of the local government elections?
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Mr. Shilowa and the listeners at home. I would love to concur with what has been raised by Mr. Shilowa, that the focus appears to be on part of the sentence or part of the paragraph that was raised by the president. I think what would be very important will be to look at the fact that all the issues of concern that the president is raising are not new things. There are a number of reports that, as we have indicated, that talk to the performance of local government. And indeed, there are specific municipalities that have been identified to be doing good or complying with certain regulations as prescribed by the regulations that we have. And I think what is also very important is that it is also not wrong to have elected representatives cooperating with others or with their counterparts in order to be able to learn best practices. But what also is something that we need to consider is that before this roll call meeting was called, the president embarked on a trip to a number of provinces in the country, and specifically looking at the state of local government. What I do recall very vividly is that the last province that he visited was the Northwest Province, and the reports are still fresh in our minds. The state of local government in most of our provinces is not in a very, very good shape. And it appears as if the ANC now, it's in a panic mode because they are aware that a lot of things are not happening correctly.
Well, did they just get aware, 7-8 months before serious campaigning is going to begin for the local government elections? That just boggles my mind. I'm going to bring in Mr. Shilowa and Dr. Ndou back after the break. It's 7:11.
With Clement Manyathela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
5 minutes before 11 o'clock, speaking to Mbhazima Shilowa and Dr. Levy Ndou, political commentators. Mr. Shilowa, it's all good and well to have these imbizos and talk about what needs to be done and get marching orders from the president. But is it late? Could this have been done much earlier? I mean, elections are coming up next year. Is it not too late? In other words, can these councillors go back to their metros or their municipalities and start the work of cleaning house to a point that they can convince the residents in those municipalities to give the ANC another chance in the elections?
Well, it's never too late, at least when you look at it as a voter. I think anything that a councillor or a government does, even if it's just simply for elections, it's something to be welcomed. So no, I don't think it's too late. I think it's too late only insofar as Mr. Ndou was saying, these are not something new. This is something that everybody else have known. In fact, they were raised in 2016. They were raised in 2021. They'll become issues now. But, voters are a forgiving lot. If councillors goes back and do what needs to be done, you will be surprised at the response. However, having said that, for me, the real issue is not just to focus on councillors. It's if we really want accountability, we've got to look at accountability from the cabinet, from members of the ANC who are in the cabinet, who are in provincial structures, as well as councillors. In that way, it means you're not just singling out councillors. For instance, my councillor in Guyana can't do anything about water, because water is something that is controlled at a national level. So instead of holding him accountable, Mbhazima must be
What about infrastructure, though? Because it's councils that also decide on how much money is spent to maintain that water infrastructure.
No, I know.
So it's partly their responsibility.
Yes, no, I know, and I agree with you. But I think the framing sometimes is a bit of a difficulty. There's very little a ward councillor can do. There's more a mayor and the whole caucus can do.
Yeah.
Yes, councillors must account, but I think we must put a little bit more focus on those who run the municipality, being the mayor the Speaker and the leader of the caucus.
Got it. Yeah. Dr. Ndou, what do you think all of this means for the Democratic Alliance? I mean, they are so excited. I'm sure we're going to see TV adverts on the SABC where they probably use the president's clip to demonstrate to voters that they are the party that runs municipalities better, as the president indicated. What do you think this all means for the DA?
The DA, in my view, would have all the reasons to celebrate and be excited, not only because of the president's speech, but because of the Auditor General's report and many other reports. And it will also be, they will add more onto their slogans that always says that where we govern, we govern better. But I think I want to add on what Mr. Shilowa has just indicated. The councillors have got certain responsibilities to perform, but I think we also need to have very strong administration in the different municipalities. We need to be able to build sufficient capacity, equip these municipalities with skilled people, professionalize them to ensure that when councillors get into office, they've got a very strong foundation in the council. The council can be able to run its affairs, and what you therefore need is an additional responsibility that will come from the political representatives.
Yeah, Dr. Levy Ndou and Mbhazima Shilowa, thanks to both of you for making time for us.